live. So why don't we go and get moving? We start with what Matthew is trying to accomplish with his gospel. And so the basic theme that he's going to be running through as we read the gospel. So I want to keep these in mind. And enjoy this for now because I'm moving away from it. Now, just check everything's coming through. The slide. Anyhow, themes of Matthew is the raven, if you recall. Okay, so hopefully computers aren't having parts over foreign languages, and you can actually see what it looks like in the Greek when I was talking about rain of heaven. I put different words here so that you can see the relationship between these words. Basileia, which is a noun, is a place reigning, the kingdom. Basilou is of ruling, the act of reigning. Basileus is the guy who does the ruling. So, as you can see, incredibly related words. This is one of the reasons why I'm one of those people who are calling it the reign of heaven, not the kingdom of heaven. Because of the things you lose, if you call it the kingdom, is you're losing its root. So we'll stick with reign of heaven. And so for Matthew, what he's going to be talking about the reign of heaven. He does a lot. Did a lot with the parables and whatnot. So for Matthew, the reign is the good news. If you want good news, if you want to understand the reign of heaven. And as we go through this gospel, the reign of heaven is the action of God with his people. In particular, his act of salvation for his people. So, reign of heaven, big theme in Matthew. As part of that, there's some other themes that kind of go along with it. As already noted last week, Matthew's pretty big on tying together Old Testament testimony with Jesus, in particular trying to show that Jesus is the fulfillment, that the prophets Jesus, that actions in the Old Testament reflect what Jesus is going to actually do, and so you'll see a fulfillment going through Matthew. Pretty easy in that he'll say, this was to fulfill such and such. Easy way to figure it out. Some of the other things, you have to actually be familiar with Old Testament history to be able to pick up on some of these things. That displays quite a knowledge of the Old Testament, and we'll come to those things as we go through the Bible study. The other major theme that Matthew has is, what is Jesus' mission? And of course, much related to the whole reign of heaven idea, because seriously, this is trying to do is the reign of heaven. And so, but constantly going to be picking up on Jesus' on him to do something, trying to bring that out. The ultimate fulfillment actually does until the last verse of Matthew, as telling his apostles to go out into the world. And we're having the final fulfillment of the blessing, the promise that was given to Abraham when it comes to fruition, to fulfillment. So in many ways, they're pretty related. By the time they kind of take on their own flavor. play out throughout Matthew. So moving along and actually getting into the gospel here in a bit. I was joking last night with Bob about how I was going to give him a run for his money on length, as I realized I had over a page and a half of notes for the very first verse of the book. So here we go. Matt's story is a story told in 3 parts. You can think of it as a trilogy. Yeah, I am showing my nerd credentials with my illustrations here. This is a presentation of Jesus. This is where we meet who he is. It's going to be the first 4 chapters to some extent. 1 to 4:16. This is the presentation of Jesus. This is where we're introduced to who this Jesus is. At least you can think of this in super terms. This is Jesus' origin story. This is how he is the Messiah, how he becomes the hero of the story. So we're learning some things about Jesus that are going to establish his cred, so to speak. 2. Chapters 17 through 16, verse 20. This is where Jesus is beginning ministry, so this will pick up right after Jesus goes out into the wilderness, faces off with the devil, and then goes out and starts doing his ministry thing, his healing, his preaching, his teaching. Faced with the scribes and Pharisees. The opposition to Jesus playing out in this part. It's going to be who he is. And Jesus does give and take with the scribes and Pharisees, to some extent with the Sadducees. They'll get an appearance here and there. And we get to 3, which is chapter 16, verse 21 through the end of the book. This is where Jesus makes his final turn and starts heading towards Jerusalem, head towards the cross, going towards his ultimate goal to fulfill his mission, so the mission can actually continue. So, 3 parts in Matthew, with your own little subplot. Of course, diving right into part 1. If you don't have your Bibles out, go ahead and get them open. Yeah, we're looking at the very first verse. Some helpful when you're to the Bible. Pay attention to what the first verse says. Probably exception to the rule is going to be the letters of Paul, because Paul writing a letter, isn't who he is. But for some of the other books, like here in the something like the first one is about Jesus. Well, who he is. Now, like the first going to be referred to in section. No, the genealogy of Jesus Christ one of the interpretation theories entirely accurate, I would say. Partly because the word that they're translating as genealogy is actually the word Genesis, or Genesis in the Greek. You can see from my notes. Genealogy is something a little bit more different. I'm going to propose is a far better translation. So now we could read this as, say, the book of the Genesis of Jesus, the Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Because the story of his beginning, so to speak, the beginning of what he's going to be, in the beginning of what is to be happening. So there's a beginning story that about his genealogy. Also, with you really liking the whole Old Testament tie-in, it makes sense for start with a Genesis. This is the word that the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew, uses for the first word of the book of what we call Genesis. So it starts in the beginning. And if Matt's doing what we think he's doing, trying to make a tie-in with the Old Testament, it makes sense that he's going the book, the beginning. So in the this is referring to more than the genealogy that follows in the next several verses. So starting to get some theological points that are going to be occurring. Probably better the book of Genesis. The book of Genesis of Jesus, Christ, son of David, son of Abraham. Where Christ is not Jesus' last name. The technical Jesus' name would have been Yeshua bar Yosef, Jesus the son of Joseph. And what Jesus Christ. Christ, a descriptor. It is the Greek equivalent of the word Messiah, which means anointed one. So, the nitpicking here, but to say the Genesis of Jesus Christ would be off. Matt, of course, setting up his story. The setup, he's going to set up that Jesus is the Christ, who is all David and so to draw that out, it helps to make this distinction. Even as minor as it may seem to our eyes, it can mean big things later on. Just a little bit of a side note, if you see the little picture there at the bottom, that is an ancient symbol for the Christ. If it's shaped like a P, and like say overlay each other, that is what it's called the high. The S is high, the R is row, and convenient enough, those make up the first two letters of the word Christ, which is just above the X and the P thing. That's the code. It's an old abbreviation. It have been used anywhere else other than to refer to Jesus. Yes, and we're going to get to that. So, good question. You're just a little bit ahead of where I'm at. So if we're going to get there, okay? Just a side note, if you hear people complaining about the whole Xmas thing, you know that Christians actually came up with that first. Not people are trying to draw doubt on the whole existence of Christ with the X equaling unknown. X as the unknown actually occurred much later in history. X as an abbreviation for Christ. It was one of those that we marked who we were in those times when the church was under persecution. So, this particular picture is from one of the reliefs at the Vatican. I'm not certain off the top of my head. I just did it off the internet today, so I don't know exact history for that one. There are many places in the Mediterranean where you'll find this just randomly showing up. I want to. It's one of the, is mentioned in the book of Acts that Jesus, not Paul visited, where there's a paving stone that is marked with the cross symbol. And I believe that the city manager, so to speak, was actually Christian, and he marked it out in that fashion. So, it's a symbol. I get to is Christ Messiah used elsewhere? Yes. Title with rich history. So it has some bearing on the discussion that's going to be happening. Particularly anointed priests in lists are described in the Septuagint using the word Christ. Because it is the Greek equivalent of Messiah, and Messiah means anointed one. And priests were anointed. They were the anointed of God to represent God to the people and the people to God as their priestly duties. And so, the letter that appears later really will help with this discussion, in that it brings that Jesus is that anointed high priest. So we will build on Matthew's argument that Jesus is the Christ, the anointed one, the one who's God picked to stand between us, to bring God to us and us to God. So that use of the anointed one does play out elsewhere in the New Testament, and Matthew is also going to be picking up himself with that use of it. Occasionally to refer to the people of Israel. Mostly God chose Israel out of the people, and so he anointed them. You see that in Chronicles, and you see that in the Psalms. What's going to be played into Matthew is the idea of the end time deliverer, which is in Daniel chapter 9, verse 26, where the one is described as this deliverer actor of salvation. At this point, I want to make something a little clear. The end time deliverer, with a lot of people have a tendency to oversimplify things and say that the Jewish people were looking for a king to come and overthrow Rome. But there are a lot of different ideas concerning end time deliverer. And we're going to see the question here onto his disciples. Who do people say that I am? Who do people say that the Son of Man is? And of course, he's all sorts of different answers. He gets Elisha. He gets one of the prophets. All sorts of different things. Those answers actually reflect differences of ideas in who the end time deliverer is. If we said the Jews only looking for a earthly king to throw out Caesar, we're in the question, and we're going to lose some of what's going on here in the book of Matthew. Also, and I include this passage from what's called Apocrypha, Sirach. It's one of the writings that occurred between the Old Testament and the New Testament. Particularly, it's talking about the prophet Samuel. He said, before the time of his eternal sleep, he bore witness before the Lord and his anointed. In this passage, I am looking at there going, well, this passage could be referring to David with his anointed, because Samuel did bear witness before God, and he bore witness before David was anointed. And, of Messiah, I forgot to list it up here earlier, is a description of kings of Israel, and David was called the anointed one because, well, what did he do to David? Went out, head with oil. So it could be David, but no clue. Look at this passage. It goes into talking about Nathan as a prophet. So it's things open for interpretation. As the was of the Septuagint, and the Septuagint was a document of the time. People were going to be familiar with these stories, what was recorded there, and so it was going to influencing their thoughts. Same times of similar to what you'll find in a Christian bookstore these days, where people take Bible characters and write fictional accounts surrounding their lives. You can find that scattered about in archaeological digs and things like that. Of Genesis is a popular for these kind of things. It's a romance story going on there. People like it for some reason. And the other thing they like to write about, surprisingly enough, is end times stuff. With the end times fiction writings we see today, as much as we change, the more they say the same. Of course, end time stories had their of who the end time deliverer is. They do reflect the opinion as to who delivered it. And so the seeing this, because Matthew is going to be pitting himself against these expectations. His big thrust is going to be saying Jesus is the Messiah, he is the Christ. And he is going to make this claim. That means he's going to be having to take on some of the other claims. Otherwise, why write in the claim? You say Jesus is the Messiah, and going to define Jesus as the Messiah, as the Christ, as chosen to bring judgment and salvation, to begin a new age of salvation, that out of that salvation, and that comes to the helpless, not to insist in enriching lives, but to save them himself. A lot of expectations that were common during that time. One of those you play out is the Pharisees' expectation that he for the righteous, that he is going to carry out judgment. He's going to condemn all the sinners, and he's going to say, "You did a good job to the righteous, to the people who are doing good works." Goes against that. Matthew picks up in this later, and you'll see this play out in Matthew's own calling, where Jesus goes and hangs out his house, his eat there at the point Matthew throws, and the Pharisees are standing outside because, of course, they're not going to enter into a tax collector's home, seeing that it is unholy, it's dirty, it's righteous. And and Jesus is going to overhear them complain, and he's going to say, "I came for the righteous. The sick are the ones in need of a doctor, not the healthy. And I came healthy." And I really ruined that quote. But, so, this defines who the Christ is. And so this is out throughout the entirety. Now, I seen a slide, actually. I have a slide that said "Son of David." Got lost in translation. David thing is going to be playing out, though, in the genealogy that we're going to be reading here in a bit. I don't know if we'll actually get into the genealogy today. Like, I'm really competing with Bob Herringer for length of Bible here. So, be patient. We'll get through this, I promise. Anyhow, we're going to go to the son of Abraham. I believe I brought this up last week. Matthew is going to show how Jesus' life is a summary of Israel's history. That the life Jesus has is going to happen to the people of Israel. Now, this idea that was given to Abraham is fulfilled in Jesus. The things that we'll see in the genealogy when we get to there is that this is for a reason, that these things happen for a reason. And we'll do that. Back to this. God to Abraham, that when he sent him off to go into a different country, leave behind his family, everybody, and take with him his household, and go into the strange land full of strangers, that he was going to bless Abraham. He was going into a great nation, an influential nation, and that he would also be a blessing to all families of the earth. And go out in Matthew's gospel, he is going to be fulfilling this purpose, that the seed of Abraham, the seed of David, is carrying out. And we just like, come on. Sorry for the distraction. It's that calls him the son of Abraham because it's going to bring us right back to that just account and what God promised to Abraham. And so this is an important part of what we're getting into. Now I'm going to dive into the genealogy. I'm going to go ahead and say, get some questions. Now is a good time to ask stuff with the genealogy that I want to shortchange it or cut off in the middle. So if you got questions, just ask them. You got any questions? Or no questions, we can go ahead and stop recording and sign off. I will see you guys at the same time next week. Go ahead and invite your friends. Let's see if we can get this up some more. And John, I will talk to you later about getting these uploaded because I hope so.